What's the risk of, like you say, to loosen up some of that administrative responsibilities?
Our management team is excellent. And we've got 220 employees at the state attorney's office. When I took over, we reduced the number of supervisors from my predecessor. And there were people making $150,000 a year, the same as the state attorney. Nobody in my office makes more than $130,000, and only one person does, and that's my chief of staff. Several other folks, about 3 or 4, make $120,000, and they are responsible for the operations throughout the circuit. We have one managing attorney in St. Augustine. I believe he makes less than $100,000. We have one managing attorney in Palatka, makes less than $100,000. We have one managing attorney in DeLand, she makes it at $100,000. We have one managing attorney in Daytona, he makes less than $100,000. Then we have our deputy chiefs, which both make $120,000, and they are the ones that pull it all together for the chief of staff. It's less supervisors than when I took over.
How many six-figure salaries do you have, including yourself?
I don't know the exact.
Is it 6, 7?
I would say probably, there's a couple trial attorneys. I can tell you Celeste Gagney, one of our felony murder trial attorneys, makes over $100,000.
But she's a senior attorney.
And so does Ed Davis, who's another one of our capital felony trial attorneys. And let me tell you, they earn every penny of that money. There's very few. I can't think of many more off the top of my head, so that's probably less than 10.
I'm fascinated by this race because it doesn't seem to be attracting the news media, the print media, and I think it's the most exciting race in terms of energy. But why I just get this, not hostility, but you're both kind of ramped up. Why is that? Is it personal? Either way.
Well, listen, I care about the job. I care about the people. I care about the folks I work with, and I care about making sure folks get the message that they're not misled, and that they understand exactly what's going on. I don't mind getting into disagreements, or I don't mind just having lively conversations. All I want is it to be right and to be fair, and the folks that live in this circuit have a right to know the facts and the truth. And that's what I'm passionate about.
I think we can agree on that one thing. We can, because I'm just as passionate about wanting to make it right as well. That's why I stepped off the bench. I had 4 more years to serve as a judge. So I must, and the only thing I've heard is either she has conviction or she's nuts. So I'm going to let you all be the judge of that.
Boy, this is quite the thing. Well, let me switch gears. You mentioned things about capital cases and Judge Warren. Were you a county judge for the duration?
Yes, I was a county judge and often sat as a circuit court judge.
I know you've done a lot of first appearances where you've got some of these high-profile murders.
Well, first appearances is one of the reasons probably why I want to be state attorney, because I want to stop this revolving door. When I'm at first appearances and I know the defendants on their first name basis and they recognize me and they call me, hi, Miss Warren or Miss Stacy, I mean, it's like it's the revolving door that I'm trying to stop. I'm tired of seeing the same people come through the criminal justice system. I'm sorry.
No, I want to keep it. What do you want to do with these people? Lock them up?
Well, I want to go ahead and take the toughest, the highest criminal, the repeat criminal offenders, use the statutory laws that we have in place that habitualizes people to keep them in prisons longer so they're not released, to come back out and reoffend in the same department. So I think that's what I want. That's what I want to do by stopping this revolving door. And you have to target these people appropriately. And there's been too many. And I've been looking at some cases and that have come down more recently. And I didn't bring them today, but I'm looking at them carefully to see why they're diverted from a felony, and they take the weapons out of the cases, because weapons make a lot of cases a mandatory sentence. So they take the weapons out of the picture, and then they go to probation, and within 4 and 5 months, they're reoffending. So if you don't take the guns out and you charge them appropriately, then you would have the mandatory sentences. So I'm not going to, I know that Mr. Larizza was a probation officer in the past, but I have something to say about probation. It doesn't work in a whole lot of cases from what I've seen.
Is the implication that you're soft on crime, State Attorney Larizza?
First off, it sounds like she's read my habitual offender career criminal handbook that Judge Feigenbaum wrote for me before he took the bench. The bottom line is we have a program that identifies these offenders up front when they come in. That was never done before I took office. We identify the repeat offenders, the violent offenders, the sex offenders, the career criminals up front where you're supposed to. So then we can determine, do we have a strong case? Can we prove the case against them? And then what do they qualify for? Habitual offender, violent habitual felony offender, career criminal. Is it a 1020 life case? Is it a prison releasee reoffender case? We're doing that. That's one of the reasons why we're getting the sentences on these folks. They're doing life sentences. They're doing 25 years. We just had a guy plead straight up yesterday on that dumpster diving case where that poor 14-year-old kid died from actually ingesting methadone, pled straight up because they didn't want to go to trial against the case we had built, and got a 24-year prison sentence.
I've known Mr. Tanner a long time as a state attorney.
Yes, sir.
And he had a sort of a label, false or otherwise, that he would overcharge to get the immediate attention from the capital cases, and then they'd go down. Is that the case with you as well?
My personal philosophy and what we've talked about at the office is that I don't believe in overcharging. Now, some people like it because, for example, the public defender or especially private attorneys, if you overcharge, knowing that you will drop charges, it sometimes helps defense attorneys to say to their clients, well, hey, look what they did. I got 2 or 3 charges dropped. I tell the folks, let's charge what you want to get out of the case. Let's charge what you want to get out, and if you can't work it out, well, then you've got other charges that you can bring in if you're so inclined to do so.
Let's kind of move in another direction that maybe takes a little tension away to something maybe that, then we can go back to it. Well, I want to ask both of you this question. You know, there was a horrible tragedy with the movie theater with the nut job with the ammo and the goggles, wiped out all those people. Judge Warren, what would you charge him with?
Oh,
I'm serious.
That's just like asking me about Trayvon Martin.
I
don't know that you were going to do that next. Really, I'm not going to sit here and speculate because I don't have all the facts. In fact, I just got a very slight glimpse of that article because last night I was in DeLand walking the streets campaigning, and I have to tell you, I haven't read too much of the news, and so I'm going to have to pass on that question, and my opponent can brief us on that.
I think the reason why I'm asking is because there's this sort of idea that you're both tough on crime, or that one of you is weak, and I think it's a natural question to ask. 30 people are gunned down in a movie theater. They can't see. There's gas masks, and this guy had booby-trapped this place. Could have been more cops killed. Is that a death penalty case? Or is that a second-degree murder case?
That's death penalty.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
That's okay. What
about you, Mr. Larizza?
Well, first of all, I agree that we have to know all the facts and circumstances before you make a decision. And with make a decision on the death penalty, that's one of the biggest decisions. And think of the impact. You're actually saying to a person, we're going to seek to put you to death. So you have to sit down. If everything that you said is true, if this guy was killed 30 people or more and injured all those other folks, and he was sane, there's not they don't have some issue there that ultimately would come up and could impact. Because remember, death penalty cases, there's certain things that they have to be qualified for the death penalty under Florida law. So you'd have to evaluate all that. But assuming that everything that this individual qualified, it's certainly a case that the death penalty should be considered for.
Let's be real about this. How many people in Florida from the Seventh Circuit have been on death row for at least 20 years?
The last person that was actually executed been on over 30 years, and it averages 30 plus years before somebody who's on death row actually gets executed. The bottom line is you're more likely to die of natural causes on death row than you are from a lethal injection.
Judge Warren, now that you're not a judge, but out of respect.
Yes, that's fine.
What would you have charged George Zimmerman? Again, I understand that you don't read all the legal stuff, but from a layman's point of view, so the public can see how you would gauge things. What would you charge in this case? Mr. Zimmerman,
in Zimmerman's case,
would it be first-degree murder, second-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter? Nothing at all?
No, I really don't know. Probably some second degree based on what little facts I know, second or manslaughter.
I really don't feel comfortable commenting on that because one of my state attorneys, a fellow state attorney, has made a decision, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to comment on how I might charge it, and I certainly don't know enough.
She's not in the same circuit, correct?
No, Fourth Circuit.
Right. She was Tanner's underling, I believe, at one point.
She worked for John Tanner
right.
Up to 2008. I'm not trying. Look, with all due respect,
I think we're just trying to give the public an idea of, some concrete examples that I think people have some deep-seated thoughts about. Gun rights versus, the other parts of it. And I think when you have the thing in the movie theater, and people you're accusing each other of either being weak or not understanding, I just thought that would be an easy one to kind of look at.
Well, the best I can tell you is that based on what is out there, that you're looking at the potential charges or second-degree murder, manslaughter, or some people could potentially decide not to charge at all based on justifiable use of force. But I don't know enough about the facts to have an opinion on any of those possibilities.
Okay. The thing about a debate is that we're trying to get you to open up about how you look at things in hypothetical circuit. Obviously, you're not going to try those cases. You're not going to. You'd be thrown out of court for even making a comment in terms of going back into them. What I'm trying to find out is, Judge Warren, you said that there wasn't much you could really think about with R.J.Larizza. Mr. Larizza, what about Stacia Warren? What's her strongest quality?
Well, I think I've already said that she works hard, and
so doesn't that hard work produce something positive?
I think
she's been on a bench for 21 years. You've been a state attorney for 4.
Right.
Yeah, I know. If they're ready, they can yell up. Anybody want to jump in? Just let me know. Just let me answer that question.
Well,
there's a contrast here. You're saying that she works hard, but she's been a judge for 21 years. She's seen a lot of it. You're a prosecutor, you have that background as well, but how does that balance out? There must be something good about her beyond she works hard.
Well, okay, and she works hard and tenacious. How about that? Okay? And as far as my background, you said 21 years and me state attorney for 4. Don't forget, my background is a lot different.
I meant as a top prosecutor. I didn't mean that. I'm minimizing what your tenure is.
Yeah, because I'm very proud of my experience, and I think it's really the comprehensive nature of it. It's given me perspectives that very few people in the system have.